Hi, Jason here. We just finished recording this week's comic from the future, and we noticed there's some audio popping. We must have moved the light and it crossed the cable of our audio or something of that sort. So I just wanted to apologize for that. We would re-record, but Andy's on his way to a toy convention in Atlanta. That's why I recorded this early today. So please just bear with it this once, and we'll be back next week with perfect audio as usual. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Comics from the Future. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And we're with infinityfluxcomics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Comics from the Future is our weekly show where we show all the comics that are available for pre-order this week. A lot of these covers have just been released. I'd say it's a pretty decent, pretty average week. So let's get into it. But before that, let's show you our website at infinityflux.net, where you can go through these very same comics we're going over. You can subscribe, you can click on one, you can subscribe to the entire series, or you can just pre-order the cover you want. That is at infinityflux.net. So happy we were able to launch that this year, finally, after so many people wanting to order stuff from us. Okay, so let's begin with our featured comics of the week, starting with
one that not that I'm surprised a lot of people are excited about, because I'm very excited about it, but there's more Connor Kent Superboy fans out there than I ever knew. We have a screen in our main comic store, and when this comes up, I've had so many people be like, "Oh, what's that?" He's back.
Bringing the attitude.
I was about to say, iconic look.
Spikes on a leather jacket. Does it get more extreme?
He doesn't care. The 90s have been long over. So this is Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, number 1 of a 6-issue miniseries. This was the last DC Round Robin winner. So that happened.
Everyone voted for what comic they wanted to see made.
This came out as the winner. This is going to be written by Kenny Porter, and the art is by JAHNOY LINDSAY. And what I like about this is it actually is like in continuity, current continuity. So after Dark Crisis, Superboy is kind of trying to find his place among the DC universe. So now we have, the entire super family all based in Metropolis, and Superman's back. You have John out there being Superman as well. And Connor's kind of feeling like there's enough here. I need to go find my own place, kind of carve out a name for myself somewhere else.
Find his own metropolis.
Yeah.
Akron, Ohio.
He's kind of tired of always going up with his friends, Tim Drake and Cassie Sandsmark and Bart Allen and stuff, and being like the young Justice. He wants to be like, I want to be my own Superman. So where does he turn? Not to Akron, Ohio, sorry to disappoint, to space. He is going to head out, maybe to even find a planet that he can be the Superman of. So I think this is going to be kind of a cosmic journey for Connor as he kind of tries to figure out who he is in this new DC, Dawn of DC time frame. I'm looking forward to a lot of character development for him, as he's no longer the kid, and but he's still been around for a long time. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where this series is going to lead and what's going to come out of this afterwards. So this is our A cover. We have this really great Quinones cover. There's a lot of great references if you look around. There's a homage to the Gorillas there, but it has Teen Titans Go versions of the characters. You've got Black Canary on there and her band. A great cover.
It's very cool.
And then there is also the KAMBADAIS cover, who is your current artist on Gargoyles. And there's also, we don't have it here, but there is a blank sketch cover as well.
Okay. And them sending him to another planet, that's really going to let the writer do anything he wants to do with the character. Kind of gets the whole DC universe out of the way in a sense.
Man, set up his own new cast of characters.
Right. Okay, so next up from Marvel is a new one called Guardians of the Galaxy Bane of BLASTAAR. So this is a one shot, and you might have heard that here first because it was hard for me to find out was this a mini series or not. I mean, pretty obviously it's not ongoing, but this is just a one shot, just a 3.99 one shot. It's written by Ralph Macchio, the long-time Marvel editor turned writer, and the art is by David Tinto. So this is about, of course, Blastar is back and he's trying to take over the galaxy, and it's up to the Guardians to stop him. But the Guardians, of course, have sort of a problem with them within their own group, as they often do. So can they get over their problems to pull together in time to stop Blastar? You'll have to check this out. So I was questioning, like, why a one shot now? And I would say because that Guardians of the Galaxy movie's coming up.
Yeah.
They just want a nice classic adventure for people to pick up as a comic, you know, maybe before the movie to pump you up or after the movie. So I'm happy for that
Yeah.
reason. You know, it is unfortunate when we have a kid come in after the movie and it's like, oh, all the Guardian stuff, it's in the back issues.
Yeah.
There's nothing current and modern. But I will say, this is the reason we do this show is you should pre-order this because a lot of stores might pass on this or not order many because it's just some one shot out of nowhere.
Yep.
So anyhow, here is the main cover. Here is the anatomy variant for Groot.
The anatomy of a tree.
Yeah. And all the different sort of ages of him as well, from Splinter to the Groot, the big Groot we know and love. And then here is the MANHANINI variant, which has a sort of a cinematic feel to it.
Very interesting look for Peter Quill in this too. The bearded looks a little bit older,
You're right.
refined. Very cool.
Looks like he could fit a little bit into the Star Wars galaxy.
He
if I
could,
have to
yeah.
say so.
Okay, next up, speaking of the Star Wars galaxy, this is a book was announced a little while ago, and I've been eagerly anticipating
Everyone's going to get this.
because we have a new Darth Vader miniseries in the style of Marvel's Black, White, and Red books they do. But what a perfect character to feature in a Black, White, and Red than Darth Vader. So, I mean, those are basically, if you looked at like the photo of him in a white room, you could say it's just a black, white, and red. Like those are his main colors.
Absolutely.
So this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries, so a little bit smaller than your average black, white, and color book. But what's interesting about this is it seems like this one's going to have maybe 2 stories per issue, and one of them will be kind of a original self-contained story. This first one we're going to have is going to be written and drawn by Peach Momoko, doing a Darth Vader story, which I think is going to be very interesting. That's the best part of these, is bringing in artists that haven't really worked on these characters much, and their style is very different than what we usually get with these characters. So that will be the main story in this, but also through each of the 4 issues, we are going to have a ongoing story by Jason Aaron and Tarun Grönbeck, your Thor team.
Right.
You know,
Yep. That's the Thor team, the current Thor team.
so that is going to be not a whole lot is known about what that is going to be, but Jason Aaron worked on Star Wars books back right when they launched at Marvel back in 2015.
Yeah,
and
he did, I think, the Star Wars #1 from
yeah,
2015.
so it's going to be great to have him back working on Star Wars, and I definitely think this is going to be a big one to pick up. Plus, it's got some great variant covers. So this is our A cover. So we have our Jim Chung variant, very cool. And we also have the Delotto variant.
So I think when we do our review show on Monday, I reviewed, I think, just about all the Black, White, and Reds they've come out with.
Yeah.
You know, Moon Knight,
Mhm.
Deadpool. They're good. I mean, every one of them I read was really good.
Yeah,
It
the
was
Wolverine was really good.
Wolverine. Yeah, it was all the writers and artists being like, oh, we feel like we have a little less editorial over
Yeah.
us. We can tell these nice sort of one-shot stories are supposed to be a little darker. You know, the red's there because of blood. So
lightsabers.
I think this is going to be really, really cool.
It'd be hard to do Darth Vader red, white, and green. And I'd be like, how do we do his lightsaber?
Okay, I mean his skin has a little bit of a green palette to it, a little more purple than
Yeah.
green, but okay, so next up is another one shot, this time from DC. It is DC Silent Tales. This is done completely by Gustavo Duarte. and he is lending his style of humor to the DC universe. This is a one shot for $5.99. It's going to have 6 sort of short story comics in it, and it's going to answer kind of funny questions like, where does Harley Quinn get all of her mallets? And does she go to the mallet store? Does she have a mallet guy? What happens with Superman's radioactive clothing? I mean, all the stuff he does, all the adventures he goes on, he's getting radioactive particles all over him all the time. What does Cyborg do on an off day? So these are supposed to lean into humor, but I think what's going to be interesting is when you do the silent comics, that takes a whole different side of mental creativity.
Yeah.
That you're telling those tales without any dialogue at all, without the written word. But comics are first and foremost a visual art.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's totally fine to do something like this. In fact, some of the most famous issues in comics are the silent ones.
Yeah.
Like the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes issue, which I always light up every time somebody trades it in. I always end up looking through it again because it's an amazing issue. So that one's a serious issue, though. This is a little more humorous, but we want people to know what this is because, again, I have a feeling a lot of stores are not going to know how to order this one.
Yeah.
So when you pre-order, it's almost like you're voting for the comic, and the more you pre-order, the more the store will actually order for people who aren't as thoughtful as those of you who watch comics from the future. So here is the main cover by our interior artist and creator, Gustavo Duarte. Here is the variant by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. So it looks like we're going to have a Zatanna story, and I see Lobo back in there. So a few more hints on who else might be in this.
Hard for Zatanna, who her entire power is speaking backwards to...
Yeah, but if you see her open her mouth, you know what she's doing, so...
Okay, next up is a new book from Blaze. This is really interesting. This is Mighty Barbarians, #1. I believe this is going to be a mini-series. They didn't put like a number on it, but most of Blaze stuff is kind of done in like the season format.
Right.
This is by Michael Morrissey, who I'm actually working with right now on Star Wars. Has some great scripts. And the art is Giuseppe Cafaro. And Morrissey is actually your writer on Barbaric. So he's just got a bunch of barbarian stories in him. He's got to get out. Yeah. So the whole concept of this is barbarians work alone. They're very solitary figures. But when a multiversal threat, rises up, some kind of monster or darkness, Morgan Le Fay, the historical, mythological sorcerer, brings together a team of barbarians from different kind of mythologies, but you have the trickster Anansi, we've got the Viking shield maiden Burka, the shapeshifter Nanook, plus the mightiest of them all, Kull. So you may be familiar with Kull from the Conan universe, which I'm wondering if Conan may sneak his way into this universe as well. But this is kind of touted as before the Avengers or the Justice League, there were the Mighty Barbarians. So it's almost like a superhero team, but made of just barbarian characters. I think this sounds really fun. A very fun take on the superhero team book. So we have our A cover here. We have the Tomaselli variant. I believe that's Kull and Burka on the cover.
That's some big shoulders and arms.
That is. He could fit many heads in his own shoulders. We have the Gizzy variant. And this one's great. This is the Cafaro homage variant to Brave and the Bold. What issue number is First Justice League? Brave and the Bold something.
Yeah, don't
First
have it on
Justice
the top
League.
of my head on that, but I know the cover for sure.
Because that one never comes through.
All right, so Marvel is relaunching Alien with a new #1 and a new creative team. This is going to be written by Declan Shalvey with art by Andrea Briccardo. And the premise for this, I mean, you almost know where it goes when you hear what I say. So it has to do with a scientist and his family. They're on this icy moon. He's been there having to do science, and he desperately wants off this terribly icy moon. But they find an organism in the ice, And of course, I guess it's gonna get revived. I wonder what it's gonna be. Almost sounds like a cross between the Thing and the
Yeah, it's
Alien
very
premise
Thing.
here, which I don't mind that one little
No,
bit. Like the more we can have the Thing and that narrative bleed into
very
things,
isolated too. You've got
right?
the elements to deal with.
Yeah, and how will an alien deal in those
Yeah,
elements? So I assume they have evolved to have ice skating
yeah, of
limbs on their
course.
legs, and
Yeah,
we'll find out. So this is the regular cover, and then here is the Shalvey, who is our writer for this.
yeah,
Shalvey did a variant for this, and I wonder what they'll find in the ice.
yeah. That does not bode well.
I would definitely just dig that right up.
Yeah, I want to see what happens when this thaws.
Yep.
Looks fun.
Set the microwave on defrost.
Okay, next up is one that if you've been reading the Sins of Sinister storyline, you will want to be picking up. This is Sins of Sinister Dominion #1. This is by Kieran Gillen and Lucas Wernick does the art along with Paco Medina. And this is going to be your kind of end capstone of the Sins of Sinister storyline. So it sounds like this is where a lot of the plots will be coming together. And what I think is interesting, they say that the present will have to live with the sins of the future. And what I like about that is, meaning this isn't just an Elseworld tale or a what if Sinister, went off and became the leader. It sounds like it's actually going to have some ramifications in the current storyline, which I kind of gone back and forth. Is this going to reflect in the ongoing X-Men titles? But sounds like it will. So you'll definitely want to be picking this up as it does kind of wrap up all of those stories. This is our A cover. We have our Basil Dua Stormbreakers variant. They're doing a bunch of group covers this month.
Oh, Groot is so nice.
So nice. We have the awesome Alex Ross timeless variant with Apocalypse
That's one of the most disapproving faces I've ever seen.
with those blue lips. This is very funny. And we also have the Segovia variant, which looks like we're going to get a straight throwdown between Xavier and Sinister, which
Forget
I'm
our
looking forward
powers.
to.
It's time for a fist fight.
Fist fight, yep.
Okay, so here's a new series from Image Comics. It is called Terrorwar, and it is by Saladin Ahmed with art by Dave Acosta. And so you see Terrorwar immediately, I think terrorism. That doesn't seem to be the case. This is a sci-fi horror series. I don't know if this is set in the future of Earth or if it's set on another planet, but it follows a working class team, meaning these are not like heroes, these are not vigilantes. This is a group who is just sort of that's their job. They are paid to hunt down these creatures who are from their victims' worst nightmares. So they manifest out of their victims' worst fears, and this sort of contractor group, they're called the Terror Fighters. That's just they clock in and they hunt these things down. So kind of an interesting perspective that I guess it's such a normal thing for these creatures to be around that you just have people that's their job.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna have a lot of PTSD and
Yeah.
need a few drinks when they get home every night. So that is the premise to Terror War. Here is our main cover by the interior artist Dave Acosta. And then here is the variant. This is the Johnson variant. So next up is our segment, Other Number Ones. We just showed our featured ones. Here are a few other ones that didn't quite make our featured list.
Starting with All Eight Eyes. I feel like with a title like that, you immediately know what this is going to be about. This is by Steve Fox, and the art is done by Peter Kolowski, who you may be familiar with from the Bloodborne comics and everything. But this sounds really fun because it's about kind of a drifter, kind of a guy who's living on the streets, gets pulled into a war against eight-legged monsters. And the best description I read of this is it's Jaws but with spiders. So I kind of like that idea of giant spiders. Like you're going through these back alleys and stuff, and you've just got this giant spider coming at you or popping out of nowhere.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's an interesting twist on that giant thing to be kind of in the darkness of cities. So This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries from Dark Horse. That's all 8 eyes.
I think I'd rather fight a shark than a giant spider. Like spiders are just so scary.
You could get out of the water far enough where a shark couldn't get to you unless it was made of a tornado. But there's one variant for this. This is the Stoko variant.
Oh yeah, Stoker Styles very good on this.
Yeah, it's very fitting.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, this is oh,
This
I
is
guess
mine
this got
also.
put in when we didn't expect
Yeah,
it.
this is Chilling Adventures Cult of That Wilkin Boy. One shot. It's another entry into our kind of Archie horror series. And I've been familiar with, every time they do a Chilling Adventure story, I've been like, oh, I know this. This is Sabrina, or this is Betty, or Veronica, or Archie, or Jughead. I was not familiar with the Wilkin Boy,
Oh, nor am I.
or I believe the old series called That Wilkin Boy. And it was another old Archie series about this kid, and I believe he was a musician. I mean, you can see that on the cover here, but I think his original character was a musician as well. This is going to be another horror story written by Cullen Bunn. So it's pretty interesting to get Cullen Bunn on this, and the art's by Dan Schoening, who another great artist, been working on the TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures comics. So sounds interesting, kind of about a cult that rises up around this kid musician and the horrors that happen there.
The hands look very zombie-ish to me.
Yes, so we have the A cover, and we have the hat variant as well.
Yeah, all these one shots and miniseries coming out. I mean, like I'm happier than ever we do this show
Yeah.
because it's hard to keep up. I mean, it used to just be you subscribe to a book, the book would go, 25, 50, 100 issues.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know, the industry has just sort of changed to a lot of miniseries and one shot. So we're glad you watch. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
If they don't want to miss out, watch our show or do something like it to keep up. Okay, so now we are on to cool covers and other comics. This is going to be variants that we think are noteworthy, or issue number 2s and 3s, a series that have just begun that maybe you need a reminder to decide if you want to subscribe to them or not. Starting with
Doctor Strange. This just started back. The new Doctor Strange that we had Death Doctor Strange, and now Doctor Strange. And I like how this one's kind of starting off a little bit more subtly. It's not going as like, we're going to tell this giant story once again. We're starting off with some fun, smaller stories. And in this one, a sleeping sickness has struck the children of Bleecker Street. And Clea and Steven have to go into the world of Dream to confront Nightmare, one of their oldest foes. So, sounds really fun. This is our A cover. We have the Malieve variant and the Warnick Stormbreakers variant there with Groot in the background again.
And this is still by Jed MacKay, who had been writing
Yep.
Clea, and he wrote Death of Doctor Strange. He's doing Moon Knight. He's become one of the main writers over
Yeah.
at Marvel, which is awesome because he went from somebody we didn't know real well on our show, and we talked about how good his stuff
Yeah.
is. And
I
apparently,
watched it.
Marvel and
Yeah.
others have noticed as well. Okay, so next up is this is the main cover to Venom Lethal Protector 2, issue number 2. So, of course, Venom Lethal Protector had a 1, which was not the original one
That's
from
what
the
I'm saying.
90s.
This is technically 3, but 2.
Correct. They had an let's do another Lethal Protector, and now this is the second series to it. This is the issue number 2, and in this, Venom is going to form an unsteady alliance with Silver Sable. So here's our main cover, and here is the Ruin variant for that.
This don't look like a great alliance.
Run, Silver Sable, run! Just drop the guns. Throw the guns on the throat and run.
Next up is Hulk number 14, and this is our final issue of this Hulk series. So this is going to kind of culminate all of the Titan story, all of the Bruce Banner piloting the Hulk, all of that written and drawn by Ryan Ottley. So wrapping up another one before they start the new Incredible Hulk series. This is our A cover. We've got this Alex Ross Timeless variant with Abomination, which is very cool.
Yeah, more and more people are coming in the shop who've just learned about the new Timeless Alex Ross covers. So for those of you who want them all, signed up for them all early, kudos to you.
We have the Klein variant, and of course, a Scotty Young variant. He can take even the scariest looking bad guys and make them pretty adorable.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the main cover to Invincible Iron Man #5. Why, who is that on the cover? Emma Frost. That's right. Out of desperation, Tony Stark is going to go to Emma Frost for help. So that's what's going on in this issue.
How many names did you have to go down his list before you reached Emma Frost looking for help?
Well, Patsy Walker's busy doing her own
Yeah.
series. But Tony's had it rough in this series. But they kind of solicited the whole thing as this was supposed to be sort of a new low point that he has to deal with. So main cover, here is the Layton connecting cover. Of course, Bob Layton's been doing all the different Iron Man suits. If this is the first one you're picking up, good luck finding the other ones. Here is the Phil Noto variant.
Looks like he's getting kind of personal with.
I know. Wow,
Emma.
that's how you ask for favors. And lastly, here is the Vincentini Stormbreaker variant with another Groot cover.
That one's fun.
Iron Groot. Iron Baby Groot.
And we have our final issue of Mary Jane Black Cat. So it's going to be interesting in this to see what is their relationship coming out of this. They've been through a lot in limbo. Are they going to remain friends afterwards? What's going to happen with Mary Jane's powers? All of that will be revealed in the final issue of Mary Jane Black Cat. This is our A cover.
I'll tell you what strikes me about this cover is the emphasis on Mary Jane's freckles. I've not seen the freckles so, everywhere.
And we also have the Durso variant.
That's very cool.
It's very cool.
Okay, so here is the main cover to Captain America Symbol of Truth #12. This is going to be the second part to the Cold War crossover. So this is the main cover. Here is the Albuquerque variant. And here is the Via Stormbreaker variant with the Statue of Groot. That's what I'm calling it, at least.
Next up, we have our issue 2 of Clobberin' Time. You have not missed issue 1 of this. It has not come out yet, so there is still time. But issue 2 is going to see the Thing travel to Krakoa, where he's going to team up with Wolverine. Anytime they do this with his rocks, it is the grossest thing ever.
It's pretty
There was
weird.
that old cover where he was like picking one of the rocks off, and it's a horror cover.
Whose hand do you think that is affecting him?
I don't know who has the ability to, who's Magneto but for rocks. But it sounds really interesting as it says he's leading up to his ultimate clobbering time ever. Who's he going to clobber at the very end? Maybe Galactus. We'll have to see. And then we also have this really great variant. This is the Romero variant. Very Kirby.
All right, so Kevin Eastman is doing a variant for Daredevil #10.
Feels like it's just meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, this is why we do the show. Like, this is one of these things people are going to sleep on, and then Eastman fans are going to be like, wait a minute, he did this, and they'll all be gone from the shelves. So again, Kevin Eastman variant for Daredevil #10. In the series, Daredevil, he kind of has a lot less allies than he used to have, but he still has Elektra, and I think he'd probably trade everybody just to keep her on his side.
It's very interesting, too, because so much of Ninja Turtles is based off of Daredevil.
That's a good point.
And now it's a very like full circle moment
Yeah.
of him drawing Daredevil. I'm not sure if he's done it in the past, but it looks right. Next up, I would think this is Fantastic Four, but this is actually for Deadpool #6, and this is the Valentine's Day issue. So, who is more of a big romantic than Deadpool, as he is going to take his new love interest, Valentine, out for a date. And this is our Alex Ross Timeless variant with Mole Man. This is just, what a great sentence.
Okay, here is the Dotson variant for Monica Rambeau Photon issue #5. This is the final issue, the finale of this miniseries. So again, this is the Dotson variant for that.
Next up is Star Wars Darth Vader #33. This starts a new story arc. I'm very excited about this. The description of it, and we got a hint of this at the end of the last issue, is Vader loses control of the Force, and even his own Star Destroyer may suffer from it. It looks like it's just out of control. He does something at the end of the last one where his force power is so big, basically the whole facility they're in gets wrecked. So it sounds like kind of a Hulk Rage version of Darth Vader. This is our A cover for
It's a
that.
great cover too.
It's a great cover.
Just the style, the hair, the colors.
We also have this FAM variant. And we have the Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary variant. And then we also, this is for Dr. Aphra number 31. We have this Return of the Jedi variant as well.
All right, here's our main cover for Thor number 33. Wow, what is going on in this cover? So from what I read in this issue, Jane Foster and Thor are going to be trying to locate and stop Doctor Doom, who is sort of the main villain for this arc. Pretty cool seeing Doctor Doom cross over into Thor. So again, this is the main cover. Here is the Alex Ross Timeless Loki variant. Look at the malice in his eyes. Like what the expression he got in those eyes and the mouth, that's just really good. Here is the Caselli Marvel Icon variant. And lastly, here is the Jeffrey Brown variant. So is this going to be a new variant series?
I have a feeling this might be a new variant series. He's your creator and artist of those like Star Wars kids books where it's like the daddy and daughter book with Vader and Leia and stuff. So it'll be really interesting to see. What a trickster drawing a smiley face on Mjolnir.
It's like
that Loki.
DC has Tom King doing April Fool variants, and Marvel's like, well, we're not going to go that rudimentary. We'll do this.
Next up is Batman Superman World's Finest number 14. Continues to be a fantastic series with the last issue, the murder of Simon Stagg. And it looked like it was all leading towards Metamorpho being the one who murdered him, but that is not who got arrested in the final page. I still don't want to give away because it just came out this week, but if you're not reading this, this is so much fun. So classic Silver Age feeling, but with modern art and storytelling. Can't wait for this. This is our A cover. Then we have our Acuna variant. And then they're also doing, it's fitting for this one, but it looks like they're doing a lot of what they're just calling Superman variants. It's characters with Superman. It's fitting for a book that heavily features them, but this is the DeMio Superman variant.
All right, this is our main Redondo cover for Nightwing number 103. I like it. It really stands out.
Yeah.
Those of us who are in comic shops all the time, we have a special place in our heart for spinner racks.
Yeah.
Even if it is, postcards on this one. So in this, Nightwing and the Titans are going to continue going up against Neron and all of his demonic cohorts. So this is the main cover. Here is the Travis Moore variant.
Very classy.
Dressed to the nines. And then here is the Jamal Campbell variant. I like his shadow there in the background. And here is the Nicola Scott variant.
You can tell when a book is very successful and the editors and stuff really like the artist because they are allowed to do covers like the postcard. They know this book, we don't have to sell it because of, a big fight on the cover. We can get by with like subtlety and interesting.
Something a bit more artistic.
A bit more artistic, and that is what Nightwing has in spades.
Yep.
Next up is Superman number 3. Once again, we've got Superman number 2 this week. Great issue. I love the trajectory of this Superman book, the tone of it, and we are dealing with the parasite outbreak in Metropolis. It's not one character parasite, but it's multiple small ones. And Superman's loved ones are getting infected by the parasite, and he must locate Parasite Zero. That's going to be very hard considering there's hundreds and thousands of these running across Metropolis. But can Superman do it? Got this beautiful Jamal Campbell
Look
A
at all
cover.
those hands. This is what your parents meant when they're like, don't let them get handsy with you.
Then we have the David Nakayama cover. There's a lot of covers for this one. We have this really nice Matina cover. We have the Lenoble variant, kind of zombie Lois Lane.
Yeah, I see that.
We have the Travis Mercer and Danny Mickey variant. And we have this great classic Steve Rude variant. It gives me the old Fleischer animation feel. Superman fighting those very rudimentary robots.
Absolutely, if it were black and white.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is the main cover to Catwoman number 54. And the cover, of course, is done by David Nakayama.
Could be one of the biggest working artists in comics right now. He's got a cover for everything.
His covers are awesome. I mean, not only do they look good, but what he chooses to draw, his subject matter and what they're doing is always really interesting and cool too. So in this issue, Catwoman is going up against the Queen of the Royal Flush Gang, which, that's happened before, but this time they're both in prison. So a little bit of a different place to have that battle. Here is the Sway variant for that issue, and here is the Sweeney Boo variant.
Not good to be on that perspective.
Yeah.
Next up is Batgirls number 17, and this is the Marquez variant. The last issue had the Cassandra Cain that looked like this. This is the Stephanie Brown, and this series is actually coming to a close. Not too many issues from this one, so you can finally complete your collection. If you're waiting for it to be over to finally read it, you're almost there. But I love this variant cover.
Speaking of series at an end, this is the final issue of Deceased War of the Undead Gods, which is also the finale of all the Deceased stuff, at least for the now. There's nothing else announced. This is the Anacleto homage variant, and what a variant.
Yeah, I believe this was a Adam Hughes variant for JSA Classified, if I'm not mistaken. The recent trade of Power Girl that collects all of Power Girl has this issue in it. So
I'm almost certain this is going to be one that people are going to sleep on underwater, and people are going to want it late. So get your pre-orders in with whatever store you shop with now.
Next up, we have Flash number 797. This is the B cover, the Niculo variant, and this one sounds really fun. This is kind of why we really started loving the series, is for these really fun kind of one-shot stories. And in this one, Kid Flash, Wallace West, is going to be babysitting Jay and Irie, and that is going to be a very difficult job. It's good that your babysitter also has super speed to keep up with the kids with super speed, because you're going to need it.
Yep.
But it sounds just like another fun one-shot story. This is, like I said, the B cover, and then we have the Superman variant by Francis Manapul.
Here is the Joelle Jones variant for Wonder Woman number 798. In this issue, this is a tie-in to Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods miniseries. So if you're one of the many people who are reading that, we have quite a few.
Yep.
The Lazarus Planet stuff just picked up as it went.
Yeah.
More people got into it. So if you want the tie-ins to it, here is one of them. Again, this is Joelle Jones variant. Here is the Jeff DePaul variant. And here is the Tony Daniel Superman variant for that issue as well.
Then we have our next installment of the Mark Brooks Spawn big piece. I forgot how many issues it is total. It's like 6 or something.
Yeah, it's
this is for Gunslinger Spawn number 19. So don't miss out on these, because I think these are going to be hard if you get in late to find all of the A covers to complete the big picture by Mark Brooks.
Okay, so No One just released last week. So this is issue number 2. Orders are due for it. It is the latest one in the massive verse. I did my review on our Monday video. So if you want to, you can go back and watch that. I thought it was a very interesting first issue. But I'd say probably the coolest part about it is there's a podcast series starring Rachel Lee Cook and Patton Oswalt pretending they're reporters in this universe. Like they're I guess acting. I shouldn't say pretending.
They're professional
acting.
Pretenders.
And but there's a podcast they're doing with each of these issues, and there's another podcast they're doing that explores this world, explores these reporters trying to figure out who this hero No One is. It's another ambitious thing launched by the whole Massive Verse people. So this is a regular cover. Here's the, oops, here is the Sabantini variant. Here is the Englert variant. And I'd also like to show that there's a second, oh, it must not be there. Well, there is a second print of issue number 1 also coming out. So
Yep.
our screen was misplaced on that, but just have it be known if you missed number 1, there's a second print available for this week as well.
Okay, next up is TMNT Usagi Where When number 2. So this is the miniseries that sends the turtles back in time, team up with Usagi again. But it looks like they are facing off against each other, which is interesting. But it seems like all of these all the A covers are going to be wraparound covers. So this is the front of that wraparound cover, and here is the back. You've got 4 turtles and a bunch of ninjas. You can only fit so many on the front. They gotta get moved to the back.
Yeah, Stan Sakai, his stuff just stands out. Like
Yeah.
no other artist's stuff really resembles it, really. Okay, so next up, this is Deja Thoris number 2. This is the Sway variant. And then here is the Lyrics variant for the second issue of the newest Deja Thoris series. This is going to take place deep in the forests of Barsoom. Just wanted to show you these 2 covers we thought were noteworthy and that some
Got some
people
big
would
artists on them.
appreciate and order. All right.
Next up, we have Gargoyles number 5. I love these Perio variants. To see like a very like semi-realistic take on them makes them even all that more scary.
And the gargoyles, their lives are at night, and Perio's art is always sort of has that looks like it's happening at night look.
But Goliath has been imprisoned because they're the people running around with gargoyle masks on, pretending to be them, causing crime. Now Goliath is in prison, and what is he going to do there? So this is our Perio, and then we also have our Lee variant as well.
Also up for order this week is Darkwing Duck number 4. Mm-hmm. So if you're following that book, that was just announced right before we began the show. You should be able to find those covers wherever you order or on our website, infinityflux.net. All right, here is our last segment. It is other printings and graphic novels, starting with Strange Tales number 178 is getting a facsimile. This is sort of the first part to the whole Adam Warlock storyline.
Yeah. But he was called that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this has a lot of first appearances that are very major to Adam Warlock. It's the first appearance of Magus, who of course is the evil version of him, the first appearance of the Universal Church, and the first appearance of the Matriarch, who is the head of the Universal Church. So big issue, an expensive issue. If you already own the real one, here's your chance to get a facsimile. It has all the original ads and everything.
Next up is Scarlet Witch number 3, second print. I think it's very interesting that, it shows the series is doing well when issues further in, not just the number 1 and number 2, get second printing. So if you missed the number 3, here is your chance to grab it. Okay,
so the most ordered comic in history, the most purchased comic ever, was X-Men number 1 from 1991, written by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee, with the art by Jim Lee. They're doing a facsimile of it, and it's not just the regular cover, it's the gatefold. It's the one that unfolds. This is going to contain all the pinups, everything. Now, I know a lot of you already have this comic or have had this comic. Many of you, like me, I bought this on the shelf. And, so I don't know how many people need the facsimile, but I bet a lot of you, it's like you don't know where it is in your collection anymore. Your copy is probably old and dusty. Time to possibly get another one. So yes, they are doing a facsimile reprint of the most printed and bought comic of all time to this day.
And I think a lot of people, if you have one copy, you probably have more. It's just one of the books that's like, if you're at a comic book store and you see one, you might just pick up another copy of it. And this is a great copy to read.
Yep. At our store, Andy and I do all the ordering. And we both do. We both do our ideas of numbers because it takes, all our time to figure out how much to order. Because as much as we do the show, I'd say over half of our purchases are still off the wall. This is a tough one. Like, how
Yeah.
much of this do we order? We don't know. So again, I urge you, pre-order this one. Let your store know if you're excited for it, because I think a lot of stores are going to go, nah, I buy this in collections all the time. I have some in my back issues. So,
But it's gonna look real good on the shelf.
and it is a different printing, and
Yeah,
we
oh,
know
that's true.
reprints sometimes actually go up in
Interesting.
value more than the first prints.
Okay, so here is one of the ones that DC does that we got to warn you about early. So this is Peacemaker Tries Hard #1, but this is the Eric Battle foil embossed variant. So we'll be talking about this book, I'm sure, on either the next Comics from the Future or the one after that. But there's a new Peacemaker series coming out, and they are going to have this special cover. So to get the correct amount of orders and everything, they got to do it early.
Say,
So go ahead if you want this. I'm imagining it's his helmet is going to be foil embossed.
right.
But if you want to grab this one, get all the covers. I've already skimmed through this first issue. If you like the Peacemaker show, this is definitely in line with the kind of serious but with a bit of humor take on the character.
Okay, so they are releasing a collection of The Hood called The Hood, The Saga of Parker Robbins. This is going to be $34.99, and it's going to collect the Hood miniseries 1 through 6, plus Dark Reign Hood 1 through 5, and a bunch of extras. This, of course, was written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Kyle Hotz and Max Fiumara.
I believe that character is supposed to be in an upcoming.
They've been saying that for ages.
Yeah.
The fact that this is coming out now makes me certain
Yeah.
Hood is going to be appearing on one of the probably Disney Plus shows.
Yeah. Next up, we have Spider-Man, just adjectiveless Spider-Man Volume 1, End of the Spider-Verse, the series that's going on right now by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. You can get issues 1 through 7 collected here for $24.99.
Okay, so Nightwing Leaping into the Light is available for order now. This is the trade paperback for $16.99 that collects the beginning of what is now the Eisner Award-winning run by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. I feel like I read this so long ago because Nightwing's been so good for so long.
Yeah, they released a hardcover.
So this is the first time they're doing the soft cover. Yeah. So that's why they're releasing this finally. Many of you probably already have these. Some of you might have got reading this late.
Mm-hmm.
These issues are really awesome. It's a great start right off the bat. So again, this is $16.99.
Then next up we have a couple of hardcovers, and with them all you can get the entire Dark Crisis saga. So starting off we have Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the main story. This is going to collect Justice League 75 and Dark Crisis 0 through 7 for $39.99. Then we are getting Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League. This collects the Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, all of the issues that the Justice League that were taken off the board during this, where they were in their own separate worlds. It collects all of those issues. That is $24.99. And then lastly, we have Tales from the Dark Crisis. This is going to collect the Road to Dark Crisis, the Deadly Green, Dark Army, Warzone, and Big Bang issues, one-shots. And all of these hardcover for $24.99.
Okay, that is our show for this week. We'll be back on Monday with our day early review show where we'll review all the comics that'll be in your store next week. We're one of the earliest review shows on the internet, so definitely watch that. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe so you don't miss that show or any others that we release. And if you want to go and look at these comics we're talking about or even order them, you can go to infinityflux.net. You can sign up for a subscription for free. Anything you pre-order through our site, you get 10% off. That's a thank you for putting in your order early. Again, that is at infinityflux.net. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.